Hello everyone and welcome. This is a brief video to help in the response to our modern times, which are quite anxiety provoking for many people, in reference to the pandemic that's happening now globally. And so how do we respond? And is there anything that can help us in this response and help us to go through this experience with a sense of calm and a sense of balance in our lives? And so I wanted to share with you something that has existed for thousands of years. We call this ancient wisdom. Much of the wisdom comes from the East, part of our globe, but also from the West. And it's a shared experience of finding ways to cope, to live well, to live balanced life. And so today's topic is, you might call it, obstacle blessing. So obstacle means anything that is negative in our life experience in the present moment, or something we're going through right now that we look at and we judge to be negative, bad. It engenders emotions that are not good. And so some of the emotions might be anger, they might be fear, they might be anxiety, even an unspecified type of anxiety where we don't understand why we are anxious. And the obstacle then blocks our ability to respond. It blocks our ability to become calm, peaceful, focused. Therefore, we try to find ways to get rid of it. Naturally, this is the desire. Natural desire is to get rid of it, to say goodbye to it. And how can we do that? Well, we can binge watch television. We can watch shows that have 1 million episodes to get our minds off of what's happening. We can clean until we rub the skin off of our fingers in the house. We can go outside and garden until our backs are so sore we can't stand up, or we can drink lots of alcohol. We can smoke dope to get out of it. We can take other drugs. So there's quite a few options if you want to take that route, but consequences, of course, are obvious to many people. It doesn't help us to focus. It doesn't help us to actually do something with what we are feeling and experiencing. So what about this fear? What about this anger? What about this general malaise of anxiety that's happening? What do we do? And today that's what we want to address. So the idea from the ancient teachers, the ancient wisdom traditions, is to actually, instead of avoiding it, is to face it, to look at it calmly, reflectively. Now there's a way to do this, of course, to look at it, to observe, and you observe without judgment. This is perhaps the most challenging thing to do, is to suspend any kind of judgment. Even saying that this occurrence is bad, that this is evil. We want to just look at it in its raw expression, what it is. And by doing so, by looking at it squarely in the face, awake and alert, over time, then you become accustomed to it. And then you begin to see transformative change occurring. It naturally, on its own accord, changes, so that you're not stuck. All things change, all things evolve, and your perceptions are going to evolve as well. And this is the idea. The logic in it is to look at it and embrace it and reflect upon it without judgment. And then these emotions, too, are something that can be looked at. So you drop the storyline, whatever it may be, that this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, and I don't like it, and I don't feel good, etc. Drop all of that and just sit and observe the emotion without saying the emotion is bad. Look at the power of the emotion, look at the intensity of the emotion, and experience it. And as I said before, it's going to change. Your feelings are going to change simply by observing without judgment. And then that will open up the possibility to see what is arising out of this, even the possibility of blessing. Is there something good happening? So we're accustomed to thinking on this side is the evil, on this side is the good. We call this dualistic thinking, or two ways of thinking, of contrasting, to something that is more imbued with equanimity. In other words, I'm not sticking to this side or this side, but I'm looking at both, and I'm open to both possibilities, so that inevitably you achieve a sense of balance in perception, in what's going on, and your negative emotions reduce over time. This is the wisdom of this type of practice. So, obstacle blessing, then from the Eastern tradition, is finding an obstacle, something that's blocking your perception and your well-being, and then finding the blessing that's hidden in it. We also find this in Christian traditions, in Islam and Judaism as well, and to mention a few of the major religions in the world. It's often called blessing in disguise, they say, or the Irish like to say that a lot. Oh, it's a blessing in disguise, as they would say. And meaning that there's something here good for you. There's something here good for humanity. At the same time, this is not to say that because there are blessings that it diminishes the suffering that people are going through, or even pokes fun at it, or even says you shouldn't be suffering. This is not the case. It merely means that even in the midst of, and at the same time of the suffering, one can be open to and experience blessing that happens, something that gives us courage, something that gives us hope, something where behaviors change from people, which are astonishing. So obstacle blessing is something where we can have a negative experience that actually bears fruit in our lives, can even engender a sense of underlying joy, courage, and confidence in going through a situation like we all are around the globe. So some may be asking the question, do you have to profess a creed of some kind to be able to meditate on this? Do you have to belong to a certain religion or faith? Do you have to be Buddhist? Do you have to be Catholic? Do you have to be Protestant? Whatever. And the answer simply is no. This type of wisdom is logical. It's just common sense, and it's been practiced for thousands of years with beneficial results, and so it continues. And this is what we want to express today. So, obstacle blessings. Well, if we look at global occurrences like World War, as ugly as those were and devastating, it did create, after the First World War, the League of Nations, for example, a body where nations could get together and discuss ways of maintaining peace. And then later on, after the Second World War, a global body emerged. The United Nations was formed to promote peace and security of nations. And if one nation was under threat, then the others would come voluntarily to help and assist those other nations. Or if there's global disaster, or political uprising and upheaval, the other nations would also step in to help and provide assistance. So now, even on a personal note, now I'd like to share with you the idea of obstacle blessing. So about 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and so I knew about this practice of greeting the obstacle and looking at it squarely in the eye. And I even personified it. I turned it into a kind of blobby creature that I would put in a chair opposite me, and I would reflect, meditate on the cancer itself. But the cancer at that point, of course, in the meditation would be external to me. And I would talk to it and ask it questions like, why are you here? What do you need? What is this all about? And I would do that on a daily basis. So I even named the cancer, and I hope nobody's called this, is watching this, but I called him Frank. So Frank would sit opposite me, and he kind of looked like Jabba the Hutt from the Star Wars trilogy. He was big blob and fat and kind of ugly, slimy. So after a while, after many requests by myself for Frank to leave, to go, to find another home, he didn't. And so I had to get quite tough with Frank and say, you're gonna end up in a jar of formaldehyde now, and that's the way it is. So I had this discussion over months with Frank as a form of meditation, but it was a way of greeting the obstacle and looking at it and observing it. Now, you don't have to do this yourself. Like with coronavirus, you can personify it if it helps in your reflection meditation or not. And then your own emotion, of course, you want to address and look at as well, quite deeply but calmly. And once again, you're not trying to find answers right away. You're not trying to solve the problem through this type of reflection. That comes later. This process of meditation is to liberate you so that you can reflect again in the future and find solutions or find a way of coping that's well. Okay, so this isn't a magic formula for finding the answer. It's a way of looking and disarming the fear, disarming the anxiety. And that in turn opens you to possibility and also opens you to see the blessing. Now, some of the blessings, I'm sure many of you are aware of already. Pollution in cities are diminishing in large urban centers. People all over the globe are in the same situation. So the suffering that's experienced is shared around the world, around the globe. And it doesn't stop because of nation or national borders. It doesn't stop because of religious differences. It doesn't stop because of all of those other groups that we identify with. The pandemic is not prejudiced, does not discriminate between young and old, white and black, or whatever race we belong to, creed, religion. So in this sense, in an odd way, we're all united in this experience. The medical profession and governments are sharing information. They're working together. This is something unparalleled at our time. And we can see some beautiful effects here. People are being very compassionate towards one another. The increase of compassion is phenomenal if you really look at it in the world. So this is a blessing arising. Even individuals would like to be with others, would like to go out and help, but they can't because they need to isolate. So the act of isolation is a work of compassion that is being given by individuals to others throughout the world to safeguard their health and to stop the spread of the virus. So you can see there there are many blessings already that can be seen and changes in the world. You might say that the consciousness of the entire human race is in transition right now. This is easy to observe at the moment. And so it is something that can be regarded as a source of joy, a source of hope and courage, that we're all working on this together, which is good. So, getting back to my story about cancer, you might ask, well, where was the blessing? You know, when you get this kind of diagnosis. And then I went into treatment, which eradicates all of the testosterone in the body. So the side effects are not pleasant. I don't recommend it. But if you have to go through it, you experience these side effects that occur. One of them is female menopause. Yes, that's right, female menopause. Without the male hormone testosterone, the male goes under female menopause. So hot flashes all night long, sweating, mood swings, muscle mass loss, which includes the heart. So there's some danger there for cardiovascular problems. It interrupts the absorption of calcium into the body, so the bones become a little brittle. You gain weight around the middle, and etc., etc., etc. So, generally speaking, you go from whatever your age is to feeling like you're in your 90s, very slow and tired and lethargic. So living daily life is difficult. So again, where's the blessing in all of that? Well, here's one, the big one. It steals your libido. It goes to 0%. No libido. Okay? Well, what I discovered was that because I had no libido, I had no sense of self-consciousness with being with other people. So it didn't matter if they were male, female, young or old, beautiful, not beautiful. All of those sort of cautionary feelings that we have when we're meeting somebody, like sense of embarrassment, of shyness, all went away. So I could strike up a conversation with anybody, anytime, anywhere, and feel quite comfortable doing it. And because I was comfortable, the person I was with or speaking with was comfortable too. There wasn't any threat. There wasn't any kind of underplay going on, subconsciously or otherwise. So without the hormone, there was this freedom or this liberation to be with people in a new way and even have very intimate conversation and sharing that was quite remarkable, quite profound. So I actually enjoyed that. I thought, this is wonderful, to be able to feel this free without any distraction. To be with people this way is very enriching, very wonderful. Now I'm trying to think of other examples that maybe is helpful there. I think just the experience of facing death and looking at that, because they gave me 2 years to live. They hoped to extend my life by 2 years. And so I looked at death and I looked at living. I looked at both. And I was open to both. And I didn't want to be too, what's the word? Too, pumped up about fighting this over here, that I'm going to die. And because that would be arrogant. That's the word I'm looking for, arrogant. So didn't want to be too arrogant. And at the same time, I wanted to be totally open to living, to continue to live, and having this cancer diminish or go away altogether. That was a big recipe there, or a big desire, because it was metastatic cancer and it was traveling through the lymphatic system. So there wasn't a lot of hope for recovery from a medical point of view. However, I'm still here, and this is 5 years later, and things are going very, very well. So obstacle blessing, you greet something that is an obstacle. In my case, it was life-threatening and would involve my mortality. And then the blessing occurs through the experience. So here I am having a great time meeting with lots of people and not being worried about a darn thing. And I'm eating better, cooking better, better diet, got rid of bad practices that are not healthy, detoxified the body, etc., etc. It goes on and on and on. Many blessings. So today, just a short meditation here to get us into the practice now. So we would like you to relax now, find a comfortable position, and we'll do a little body scan right now. So body scan is just really relaxing or noticing all the areas in the body. So we begin. So observe now the top of your head and relax. You can send relaxation to your head in the form of light, warmth. Some people like to create a little tingling effect through their imagination on the head. Top of the head, and now to the forehead, the sides of the head, the back of the head, the neck, the eyes, nose, cheek, the jaw. Let go of the jaw and relax. The mouth, the lips, relax the tongue, and the chin. Moving down to the shoulder area, relax the left shoulder and then the right. Moving down the left arm, the upper arm, down to the hand, the fingertips of the hand, then the right. Again, moving down to the elbow and then down to the hand. Loosen the joints and relax the hand down to the fingertips. And then moving to the back, around the scapular area, shoulder blades as they're called, down the central spine to muscle groups on either side of the either side of the spine, down to the hip, and circling around the hip area, the pelvic area, front, side, and the back, the gluteus maximus, relaxing that tissue, and the sphincter as well. And then the left leg down to the knee, and the right leg, and down to the ankle joints in both legs, and to the end of the feet, the left and then the right. And breathing in and breathing out. Taking a breath in and a breath out. And take a breath in and out again. And now just breathing naturally and calmly in a relaxed position. The next part here is to look at this virus. So in whatever way you can imagine, if you want to see it as a personification or just as an energy or a light or a color, whatever works best for you, just look at it. And once again, you're dropping the judgment, dropping any kind of preconceived notion about it, and just being there with it. If you're a bit fearful of this, your support is the breath. So stay with the breath, notice the breath going in and out, and just look at it. That's all. Remember, you're not trying to solve anything or cure anything. You're just peeking. You're just looking, having a glance at it right now. And this will be brief, approximately 30 seconds. So let's begin. And now we continue to breathe in and out. And now we want to reflect and meditate, even visualize blessing. So opening up the possibility to seeing blessing. You may see something, you may not. You may not want to look at blessing. So if you don't want to, then reflect on light, on peace. But if there's one blessing you are noticing, you can reflect on that now. Let's begin. And finally, we're going to greet our own inner sense of fear and anxiety, our anger, our disappointment, and just notice it for now. This is just an introduction, a how do you do, hello, I see you kind of thing. And remember that in the seeing of it, experiencing of it in the present moment, begins the transformative change of the emotion. It is no longer locked within you because you notice it. So just very gently now, taking a peek within. And breathing in and out. So this concludes our session for today, and we hope that this was beneficial to you. In the next few installments, we'll go into this a little more deeply, into these practices and how they can be liberating, and discuss this ancient wisdom that we still enjoy today. And so may all beings be happy. May they know the cause of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and know the causes of suffering. May all beings be liberated and enjoy eternal peace and happiness everywhere. Thank you.